Welcome to Middlesex Moments, the radio show from Middlesex Community College, coming to you from the radio studios of the college's Center for New Media at our main campus in Middletown, Connecticut. I'm Steve Minkler, the academic dean at the college, and I welcome you to today's program. And joining me is Professor Tad Lincoln, who is professor of economics and political science at the college. Welcome, Tad.
Thank you for having me.
And also Gail Thompson-Allen, who is the Director of Programming and Community Engagement at Russell Library. Hi, Gail. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Great to be here.
Well, and both of you are here today to talk about the Middletown International Film Festival, which begins real soon. And Tad, maybe if you give us a little background on how the International Film Festival got started.
Sure. About 9 years ago, is that right, Gail? And I wasn't part of it when it first started 9 years ago, but Gail was able to work hard and get some funding to be able to put together a film festival, and through her hard work and a little help from other people on the Middletown International Film Festival Committee, we've kept it going year after year. This is the 9th year that we'll be running it starting October 3rd, 2017.
Okay.
So I can speak a little more about that. When we started 9 years ago, it was started by our previous director, Arthur Myers, who had been approached by a local family, the Haddad family, who suggested that we do an international film festival because we'd never done anything like that before. And Art has always been a great proponent of community and immigrants to the community, and he thought it was a great idea. So the Haddad family donated $500 towards the film festival, and then I sought other funding from, actually the first year we did it was from the Middlesex Community Foundation, who gave us money for our first film festival. So that was number one, and we partnered with Wesleyan Middlesex Community College in Green Street that first year to do the first film festival. And the following years we continued with Middlesex and Wesleyan University, and I could continue to get grants and donations from the library so we could continue the film festival every year.
And the films are shown at various venues throughout the city, right, including the college?
Yeah, so now the films are, well, we have 6 films per year, and we show, over the last several years, right, we show 2 of them at Russell Library, 2 of them at Wesleyan's Center for Film Studies, and 2 of them here at Middlesex Community College in Chapman Hall.
Well, and the fact that Middlesex Community College, Wesleyan, and the library partner on this shows a great example of what can happen when 3 community agencies get together and try to serve the public in a way like this. So, Gail, why is the focus on international film so important at this time in our history? Why international film and not something else?
Well, obviously the state of affairs in the world and the problems that we're having, and it's very appropriate to do an international film festival because the understanding of different cultures, we're not at a very good point in our world affairs, and misunderstanding of different cultures is prevalent throughout our society. And so it works out very, very well to do an international film festival because it educates the public to the differences, but the commonalities also between different cultures. And what I've learned every year, the 9 years that I've been doing this, is I learned something new that I did not know about these other cultures, and a lot of things that I didn't know about these other cultures. And in addition, the reception of the community has been overwhelming, that they're thankful that we do this film festival every year because they've had a tremendous learning experience as well.
Well, we need to take a quick break, so when we come back, we'll learn more about the 9th Annual Middletown International Film Festival with our guests Tad Lincoln and Gail Thompson-Allen, when we come back shortly on Middlesex Moments. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, and I'm talking today with Tad Lincoln, Professor of Economics and Political Science, and Gail Thompson-Allen from the Russell Library, who is the chair of the Middletown International Film Festival Committee. And before the break, we were talking about connecting the public with different cultures and exposing them to the different types of storytelling that occur around the world. And I suppose one of the things that's we didn't mention before the break was really the longer title of the film festival is called Common Ground. And why is the term common ground so important when we think about what the role of an international film festival is in our community?
Sure. So initially, one of the main ideas was to bring together the various groups in the community and help them to understand each other better, understand each other's cultures, understand each other's languages. So the idea was to bring people together to understand each other better and to strengthen the community.
And you yourself, Tad, have traveled around the world fairly extensively, and you've worked internationally. So how has your own experience helped drive you to want to share that type of experience with others through the use of a film festival?
Sure, exactly. The first year that this was done, I actually didn't know about it. I was fairly new at the college, and I learned about it, and I did my best to become involved with it. So I consider myself to be an internationalist, and I have lived overseas for more than 7 years, done a lot of traveling, more than 40 countries in the world. And so I have a real passion for this, the understanding of different cultures and the empathy that can come with that understanding and that learning. So I feel really good about being a part of this endeavor every year.
And the important piece is the common ground, the commonality between different cultures and different peoples. And it comes down to, with every film that we've ever shown, yes, we're different. We have different cultural identities, but on a base level, and we are on common ground. And it teaches it over and over again. Every story that's told in the films is just moving, and we realize we all have the same basic feelings towards family and friends, and it's just been an amazing experience for 9 years, and I hope it continues to go on.
Sure. And Gail, what was your original motivation for wanting to be part of this, and how did you become the chair of the festival?
Well, I was the audiovisual librarian
Okay.
for a very long time at Russell, and my passion was foreign films, so I was always building up the collection. And I think I can probably say that the Russell Library has the best international or world cinema collection in the state in a public library. And so when Art brought this up, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to do an international film festival, because always before I'd just been doing regular blockbusters, that the public wanted to see, and to introduce an educational piece to a film festival was just so important to me. And it's also been wonderful to partner with Middlesex and Wesleyan and bring those two academic groups into the public library setting. The speakers have all been outstanding, and the community really appreciates this. I do a survey after each film, and I've never had anything but excellent reviews for both the speakers and the films. Everybody's just really passionate about it, and everybody says, we just want to have it happen again next year, so make sure that it does. So it's been a really wonderful experience from the beginning, so I can't say enough good about it.
Great. And the speakers are professors at the two institutions?
Yes, we have had some non-professors. One of our speakers this year, who is a repeat speaker, we're doing a Native Canadian film. Chris Newell, who is education director at the Mashantucket Pequot Museum and Education Center, will be speaking again about that Native Canadian film. He previously spoke last year or the year before about another Native film. We've had some authors from different cultures, but it's predominantly professors from the two institutions.
Okay. So let's talk about the film. The committee has selected 6 films which run from early October through November, and maybe talk a little bit about the lead-off film, what it's about, and when people can take advantage of seeing this.
Okay, the first film will be October 3rd, and that'll be at Russell Library. It's called The Savor. It's a First Nations Canada film, directed by a Canadian. We are also showing a short called Stolen, which is also a Native Canadian film. I don't want to give too much away, but it's a very sweet story about a little girl who becomes orphaned and decides that she's going to make $1 million. She finds a book in one of the houses that she's cleaning that says 50 ways to make $1 million. So she's off and running to make her life better than what it has been. And that's all I'll say, but it's a really wonderful film and shows you a little bit about Native cultures. And interestingly enough, the Native films that we've shown throughout the festival have been probably the most well-attended. So we always try to plug in a Native film in each series. After that, we're showing Remote Control, which is a Mongolian film. Each year we try to pull in some cultures that we haven't done previously. We have done a Mongolian film before, but only one. This is a very interesting film about a very poor boy who goes to the city and kind of lives on a rooftop and develops an interesting relationship with a woman that he sees in a window in an apartment building across the way. One of the things about showing things from Mongolia or other countries that are not as affluent as ours. You see a whole different world out there of how third world countries are and how people live in them. So it's very educational.
So I'm sensing a pattern to these dates. These are all Tuesdays.
Yeah.
At what time of day?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, okay. So we've talked about the first two films, and Tad, the week after that, October 17th, is a film called The Salesman.
Yeah, sure. So The Salesman is an Iranian film, and an excellent film, and we view a lot of films before we choose them. And Gail does a very good job of helping us get started with various films that have won competitions or have been nominated for competitions. So that's our starting point, and we thought The Salesman was superb. So yeah, without telling you the whole story, it's a couple who are playing roles in The Salesman, which is a play in Iran. They have to move because, what was it, an earthquake? I don't remember if it was an earthquake or was it... Well, anyway, somehow their apartment building, I think it was an earthquake.
Yeah, I think it was, yep.
Yeah, an earthquake. And so they had to move quickly, and they found this apartment and they moved into it, and the wife experienced some violence. And I don't want to get into the details, some unexpected violence, and that caused some tension between the two of them, and the rest of the film is them trying to deal with that violence. And let's leave it at that. It's an excellent film. The next film is Rams, which is an Icelandic film. And you had asked earlier if the speakers are all professors. Well, the speaker for this film is an Icelandic sheep farmer. And he actually has been to Iceland many times, but he's an Icelandic sheep farmer right here in Connecticut.
Wow.
And
So he's a Connecticut Icelandic sheep farmer.
yes. And he was originally from New York. Let's add an additional twist to that. He's a great guy. And the film revolves around these sheep and these two Icelandic brothers who live next to each other but haven't spoken in 40 years. And they have a problem with their sheep. A disease infects their sheep. And they have to deal with that. And they haven't spoken for a long time. And it's actually funny, and it's sad, and it's highly educational. And I hope we'll get some people out to see it because I just love it.
It's great. Wow. It's a great film.
It is. It is. And so that's the first one to be shown at Middlesex Community College on October 24th, Rams, the Icelandic film. And the second one to be shown at Middlesex is on Halloween, October 31st. And that film is called Different, is an Ethiopian film. And it is about the tradition in Ethiopia and some other African countries surrounding Ethiopia, a tradition of abduction into marriage, a tradition of men abducting basically young girls into marriage. And unfortunately, this is a true story, this young woman was abducted and she killed the abductor. And the story is about what happens after that. And it's, again, a very interesting film. So that's the second one on Halloween to be shown at Middlesex. And maybe Gail can talk about the last one.
And on November 7th, the final film in the film series is The Kind Words, and that will be shown at Russell Library. And it's an Israeli film from 2015. It's a very, very different kind of film because it's not just Israeli. It introduces other cultures and different aspects of Israeli society and religion. And it's basically their mother dies in the very beginning of the movie, and it's a sister and two brothers who discover things about their past, specifically about their father that they had no knowledge of until their mother passes away, and how they deal with this in the aftermath. So I highly recommend them. But I recommend them all. They're all really wonderful films and well worth the viewing.
Yeah, they all sound fascinating and really, capture a lot of essence of what the human spirit is all about and the relationships that we have with each other and the world around us. And so, yeah, I commend anybody who is interested in any of these films to join us for the 9th Annual Middletown International Film Festival on Tuesdays in the month of October and the first week of November, free of charge at various venues. So when we come back after the break, we'll talk a little more about the film festival and other things with Professor Tad Lincoln and Gail Thompson-Allen from the Russell Library. Stay tuned. You're listening to Middlesex Moments from Middlesex Community College. Welcome back to Middlesex Moments, coming to you from Middlesex Community College. I'm Steve Minkler, your host, and I've been speaking today with Professor Tad Lincoln from the college and Gail Thompson-Allen from Russell Library, and both of them are on the committee of the Middletown International Film Festival. And before the break, we talked about the 6 films that will be presented this season at various venues in the city of Middletown, including Russell Library, Wesleyan University Center for Film Studies, and right here at Middlesex Community College. The films all sound fascinating, and Tad, how does the committee go about selecting films from the universe of films that must be out there from around the world?
Gail does an excellent job of getting us started as chair of the committee. She generally finds some various listings of movies. There's film festivals, major film festivals all over the world, and films are nominated, and films are nominated for various categories, and they win in various categories. And so Gail helps get us started. And of course, sometimes we bring films that we've heard about from other places, but Gail gives us these various lists, and then we start watching. So we watch dozens of films, and we exchange our ideas in a number of meetings, mostly over the summer. And we exchange emails, and we haggle sometimes about, what features, what we see as features that will go over well, or features that will be great learning experiences, or even features that we think are going to be a little too much for our audiences, maybe in terms of sex or violence. Mm-hmm. So we go back and forth on these things, and we always reach a consensus eventually.
How big is the committee? What kinds of folks are on the committee, Gail?
It's a very small committee. It used to be 4, now we're down to 3, because we lost a wonderful committee member who was from Southern Connecticut State University, who was a film expert. She helped us a lot. She had a photographic memory as far as films went. She could name directors and titles and actors, and she was just awesome. And she was a speaker every year for one of our films because she was such an expert. I just wanted to say one more thing about choosing films. And at one point, we wanted to have a themed international film festival, so we tried 2 years to do that theme kind of thing and was not successful. One year we tried to do the arts, which actually was pretty successful. So we had something that had to do with poetry, something that had to do with painting, dance. So that worked kind of well. But one year we tried to do comedy. And if you, in thinking about it now, it's like, how could we be so stupid? Because what one culture finds funny, others don't find funny at all. So we decided not to theme it anymore. And so basically we just choose films that have been critically acclaimed worldwide, and then narrow it down to what's going to work for our kind of film festival, which is understanding the differences in cultures. Because obviously lots of international films don't portray the differences or show the different cultures in any great light to be educational. So that's how we choose the films now.
Right. Yeah, I think it's even important to remember even other countries and cultures that happen to speak English. You think of a lot of the entertainment we might see from the United Kingdom. Culturally just doesn't resonate with Americans and vice versa. It's interesting even using the same language.
Another thing that I think is valuable, because our president asked about the committee members, and I think we each bring something a little different to the table. Me, having worked overseas and been a businessman, I see things in a little different angle, I should say, from Stephanie Elliott and Gail Thompson-Allen. I think we all come from somewhat of a different angle, and so that influences to some extent what films we think will fit, or what we think that our audiences might find most interesting or educational. And so I think the three of us work together very well when we haggle, and with all of that input, I think in the end we come up with an excellent set of films.
So we've mentioned that these films are being shown throughout the month of October and the first week of November on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. And they're free and open to the public. And free means you can just show up, right, Tad?
Absolutely. You don't need tickets. There are refreshments there. So, the festival runs from October 3rd to November 7th. 6 Tuesday evenings in a row. They're all at 7 p.m. Some at Russell Library, some at Wesleyan University's Center for Film Studies, some here in Chapman Hall at Middlesex Community College. You can just show up at 7 if you feel like showing up. They're totally open to the community. You don't need any tickets. They're free. You have our speakers that are going to introduce the film for you. They're going to answer any questions you have when the film is over, which is quite a plus because some of these films culturally can be difficult to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's great to have somebody there that can explain
Right.
things to us. So, yeah, it's wonderful.
So as we're talking, the film series is open to the public, free of charge. When you were talking about selecting films, you did say you do try to pay attention to films that may border on being maybe have a little too much sex or violence, but are, I guess, maybe just as a precautionary note to our listeners, are there some films that are maybe more family friendly than others?
We've actually had this discussion in the past about trying to make an international film festival that is family friendly. As to this point in time, we have not done that. This is a film festival that's gauged for adults. With that being said, this year's is starting out with a family-friendly film. So the first one, The Saver, about this little girl in Canada, would be a good film to see as a family.
So I suppose if our listeners wanted to learn more about each film and maybe get a gist of what the topical matter is, they can certainly go to the website for the film festival and learn more about each film.
Right. So if you just visit russelllibrary.org on the web, you can see information and descriptions about all the films that we are showing in this series.
Okay, great. So again, films are free and open to the public. We talked about how every film is introduced and sometimes concluded by a presenter. Many of those presenters are faculty members from Wesleyan and Middlesex Community College. Do they often bring their students to the films? And this is a great, I think, add-on for many classes. Tad, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. We've certainly had that happen sometimes. Gail, maybe you can elaborate on that.
A certain speaker that was a repeat speaker, her students always came to Wesleyan film showings, and it's spotty. Some encourage their students to come, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I would definitely encourage the Middlesex community and the Wesleyan community to engage the students. That's one of our goals in this International Film Festival, is to have a mixed audience, not just older people, but we want students and even high school students we were hoping to get, which we have not. So just spread the word and invite everyone that's interested.
Okay, so those of you in the audience who are listening who either are high school students or have high school students who are important to you, please recommend the 9th Annual Middletown International Film Festival, Common Ground 2017. And so we've talked about the partnership between Russell Library, Wesleyan University, and Middlesex Community College as the three venues where these films are being shown. But it's probably important, Gail, to again thank the sponsors for this year's festival, and those are...
Absolutely. The sponsors have made this possible year after year after year. Middletown Commission on the Arts has graciously donated money for each of the last 8. And in addition, we get money from the Friends of the Russell Library to sponsor it, and also individual donors that give to the Russell Library. So we thank all those 3 sponsors for making this possible.
Okay. Yeah, and it's really a pleasure for Middlesex Community College in particular to be able to be part of this partnership. It's certainly something that we believe strongly in as a college, to promote cultural understanding around the world. We have students here from around the world as well, and to promote also an appreciation of good film and good storytelling through the use of film, which is terrific. So again, the first film happens Tuesday, October 3rd.
That's right, at Russell Library in the Hubbard Room, and that's going to be The Saver, which is a
At
First
7 p.m.
Nations Canadian film. At 7 p.m.
All right. And then they follow on subsequent Tuesdays through the beginning of November. And I think it's also worth, you had mentioned earlier in our discussion, to thank Art Myers, who really is an inspiration to the collection at the library, but also to spawn a film series like this. He's an incredible guy, and I think it's worth
Right.
thanking him for that
Yes.
inspiration.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Art. Well, I think that kind of wraps up today's edition of Middlesex Moments. I want to thank my guests, Tad Lincoln, Professor of Economics and Political Science here at Middlesex Community College, and Gail Thompson-Allen, who's Director of Programming and Community Engagement at the Russell Library. Both Tad and Gail are on the Middletown International Film Festival Committee, which Gail chairs. So I thank both of you for joining me today at Middlesex Moments.
Great. Thanks
Thank
for
you
having us.
And to those of us and to our listeners, we invite you to join us for the film festival at Wesleyan, Middlesex Community College, and Russell Library. And at any time, we welcome you to visit us at Middlesex Community College. Our main campus is 100 Training Hill Road here in the city of Middletown. We have our newly opened Meriden Center, which is now operating at Platt High School in a gorgeously renovated building on Co Avenue in Meriden. We have late afternoon and early evening classes in Meriden. And our online campus, which is open 24/7, by visiting us at mxcc.edu. We hope to see you either for the film series or at any time at Middlesex Community College for classes or the events we have at the college. I'm Stephen Minkler, the Academic Dean at Middlesex Community College, and we'll see you next time on Middlesex Moments.